You've seen dear David, haven't you? He's dead. He only appears at midnight, and you can ask him 2 questions if you say dear David first, but never ask him a 3rd question, or he'll kill you. Adam Ellis is your typical man. He's a writer and illustrator for BuzzFeed, mainly providing them with comic webtoons. He's published a book of his comics and is in the process of producing another. All in all, he is in a relatively good state. His overbearing internet persona and slack for copying his own comics aside, he works for a large company, and he has a relatively hearty following of his own on social media. That is, until he comes into contact with the ghost of a dead child named Dear David, who was apparently killed by falling shelving in a store. Well, allegedly. On August 7th, 2017, Adam Ellis tweeted out a thread detailing his interactions with the young spirit. It goes as follows. So my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child, and he's trying to kill me. Thread. He started appearing in my dreams, but I think he's crossed over into the real world now. The first time I saw him, I was experiencing sleep paralysis and saw a child sitting in the green rocking chair at the foot of my bed. He had a huge misshapen head that was dented on one side. I did my best to draw it. For a while, he just stared at me. But then he got out of the chair and started shambling toward the bed. I couldn't move because I was paralyzed. I have sleep paralysis fairly often. It sucks. Right before he reached my bed, I woke up screaming. I had another dream a few nights later, where I was in a library and a girl came up to me and said, "You've seen Dear David, haven't you?" I was like, "Who?" And she said, "Dear David, you saw him." She continued, "He's dead. He only appears at midnight, and if you ask him 2 questions, if you say, Dear David, first." Then she added, "But never try to ask him a 3rd question, or he'll kill you." Then David came back for another dream. Same situation. I was in bed, and he was sitting in the rocking chair near the window, staring at me. In the dream, I say, "Dear David, how did you die?" He mumbles, "An accident in the store." I say, "Dear David, what happened in the store?" He groans, "A shelf was pushed on my head." I'm frozen with fear. I ask, "Who pushed the shelf?" David doesn't answer. I realize that I've asked a 3rd question, which I'm not supposed to do. At that point, I wake up absolutely terrified. The next couple days, I Google the deaths in the city, but can't find anything about a kid named David dying in a store. I even tried different names, Daniel, Dylan, Devin, nothing. A few weeks go by without incident. Sort of randomly, the apartment above mine is vacated, and I have the opportunity to move into it. It's a larger apartment, so I'm thrilled. Another month or 2 goes by, and I sort of forget about Dear David. I think he lost track of me because I moved upstairs. But lately, something strange is happening. For the past 4 nights, my cats gather at the front door at exactly midnight and just stare at it, almost like something is on the other side. Last night, I got a weird feeling and looked out the peephole, and I'm dead certain I saw movement on the other side. When I opened the door and turned on the hall light, nothing was there, but my cats seemed unnerved, bushy tails, etc. And that's where I am right now. Dear David found me, I think. I don't know what to do. I'll keep you updated. It's this very first post that gains the internet's collected attention. It was so interacted with that the thread popped up in Twitter mentions, having become a trending topic that many were eager to follow if just to find out what happened with David next. And with that, the very next day, Adam gives an update, uploading a few pictures and a video of his cats reacting to something supposedly on the other side of his door. He takes a few pictures through his peephole, pointing out that there appears to be an artifact manifesting on the banister in the hall. However, this is most likely either dirt on the glass of the peephole or the camera picking up some sort of reflection. It's too easily debunkable. There is nothing there with the door open, however, every time a photo is taken through the peephole, the strange smoke or smudge appears. In terms of the cat videos, while a cat would most likely not react this way without something causing a disturbance on the other side of the door, it is also easy to cause a reaction in a pet. Another animal or even food could cause a cat to react as such. Basically, it's seemingly desiring to go into the hall. From a non-skeptical perspective, cats would most likely act in fear or aggression towards a spirit that is out to kill. Something that Adam mentioned in the first thread, but doesn't quite appear in this video. They would hike their backs up and puff their fur and hiss, not meow like there's something out there they want. If it was a spirit out there, the cat would avoid the door, not beg for it to be opened. Adam posts for the next few days, but it's more the same. The cats are still apparently attracted to the door, which causes him to put a line of salt in front of it, but nothing more of note occurs until August 11th, when he posts about a sound recording app he's been using in his sleep. He picks up a few interesting noises, but again, it's nothing that can't be debunked. Adam claims to be asleep, but he could just as easily be making the noises on his own. On the 12th, he posted that he was leaving the apartment for the weekend, and followed it up with a picture of himself holding up a peace sign, which followers claim to have the image of a small boy, similar to David's description in the background. On August 13th, things pick up again when Adam buys a Polaroid camera and starts snapping pictures around his apartment. So, a weird thing just happened. Take it with a grain of salt. I bought a Polaroid camera this weekend because they're fun and dorky. I decided to take a few photos around my apartment. Polaroids are stupid and fun and inherently sort of creepy. I didn't expect to find anything, and for the most part, I didn't. I took a couple of my living room and bedroom. That's the rocking chair I first saw David in. They're pretty unremarkable. Then I went into the hallway and snapped a photo. The Polaroid developed completely black. I even ripped open and destroyed a fresh pack to see if it was just an undeveloped Polaroid, but they start out white. I also thought maybe I accidentally covered the lens with my finger, so I took a photo while intentionally covering it. The photo on the left is me covering the lens with my finger. The photo on the right is my fully lit hallway just after midnight. So this could be nothing. I'm not sure what to make of it. I'll record myself sleeping again tonight, and I have Sage being delivered tomorrow. As always, I'll keep you in the loop. Okay, one last thing because I wanted to double check. Here's a couple videos of me taking photos.
Okay, here's my living room. That there. Okay, now I'm gonna take a photo of the hallway just to show you what that's like. It is developing black.
Came out totally black again for a second time. Honestly, I don't know why I'm still fucking around with this camera. There might be a logical explanation. Someone told me to take photos from farther away, so I tried that. Once with my iPhone, and once with the Polaroid. Left is with my phone, right is with the Polaroid. The hall light was on both times. Why is it pitch black each time I take it with the Polaroid? This whole thread has been really convoluted, and I'm sorry if it's hard to follow. I just thought this was all weird and wanted to share. Some followers pointed out that between the photos taken with Adam's phone and the ones taken by his camera have what appears to be discrepancies. One comment pointed out that the locks on the doorframe had seemingly vanished in the photo taken by the Polaroid, to which Adam tried to explain away as to being washed out by the flash, and that they were at different angles. While the Polaroid obviously washes out colors, it doesn't seem reasonable that it would make objects completely vanish against its background. In terms of the videos where he takes pictures of his fish tank and of the hallway, the fact that they're in two separate videos is quite suspicious. It's possible that he could have taken the picture of the tank, then changed the settings on the camera, or simply covered the lens with some tape before recording the video in the hall. There's no reason why he couldn't have done it in one video otherwise. It's also very possible that it's just overexposure. The flash mixing with the already bright hallway's light cancels each other out and makes it appear black. Meanwhile, other commenters were bringing up the images of his Polaroids, once more finding that they believed to be figures in the darkness. On the 14th, he cleansed his apartment with sage, but goes on to create this thread the next day. Sage did not work. I haven't dreamed about David in a few months, but he appeared again last night. In the dream, my bedroom was filled with hazy smoke, but I could see David sitting in the chair across the room. He was smaller this time, almost shrunken. He didn't do or say anything except look at me. Anyway, it feels like a bad omen. On the 17th, Adam finally addresses that people want him to move, saying that he isn't guaranteed that the spirit won't follow him, since he supposedly already has. On the 18th, he mentions a storm, prefacing a large story thread that he posts on the 21st. Yes, almost like he was hyping up that another large thread was coming. All this ghost stuff has been spooky, but this past weekend was the first time I actually felt unsafe in my home. Thread. On Friday night, there was supposed to be a huge storm. In the end, it passed, but that night was bizarre anyway. I fell asleep pretty early. I was incredibly tired for some reason. I had a dream that night where David was dragging me by the arm through an old abandoned warehouse. I'm not sure why I didn't fight back in the dream, or how he was strong enough to pull me, but that's dream logic for you. It was a pretty creepy dream, but I didn't think much of it when I woke up. I took a shower, and then I noticed something. I'd woken up with a huge bruise on my arm. Now look, maybe I injured myself in the day before, and my arm was hurting during the night, which manifested as a dream. There could be a totally logical explanation for it, so I brushed it off. I went to get coffee, which I do every weekend. When I walk to the coffee place, I always pass a food cart repair depot. It's always incredibly busy, especially on weekends. I've lived in the neighborhood for over 4 years, and the place has always been jam-packed with carts getting serviced. But today it was completely abandoned. The whole warehouse was totally gutted and empty. Well, almost empty. I went inside to look around because I was astonished that this place was suddenly empty after all these years. Basically, the only thing in the entire warehouse was a single green chair. On my way back from coffee, the warehouse had been shuttered. It's remained shuttered since. The chair, my bruise, dreaming about an empty warehouse and then passing by one, gave me the creeps. Needless to say, I didn't sleep much that night. Too many strange things are happening and more frequently. So I don't know. Anyway, it was a strange weekend. On the 25th, Adam mentions that he's been getting strange unknown phone calls every night around the time his cats go to the door. Once he finally answers the calls, he hears nothing but electric static, similar to what he's been getting on his sleep recording app, before a small voice says in greeting, "Hello?" On the 28th, Adam mentions his trip to Japan for the first time. He tacks on that he feels if he can make it to then, that it'll all go away. Almost like he's setting up a good time to end all of this. That was also when he mentions the pet monitoring camera that he bought to watch his cats. Essentially, it dings on his phone, alerting him to motion activity, and he can watch the feed from his phone. Around 11, he captures 2 unexplained videos. These Poltergeist-style videos can easily be faked using fishing lines and minimal video editing. The compression in the video is so bad, anything used to fake the movement could easily be hidden by pixelation alone. Also, people noticed that the blue chair in the background vanished. It didn't. The lighting change just washed it out. The story goes quiet for a while, with no posts until September 5th, when Adam comes back with a few more videos. These focused on the reactions of his cats. These 2 videos have little explanation. It's not so easy to get cats to do these kinds of things. However, the second video could very easily be a bug, despite Adam disregarding that possibility, like there aren't 10 quintillion bugs alive on Earth at the same time at any given moment. It's certainly impossible a fly got into his house in late summer. The first video could also be a bug. But because the glass on the coffee table happens to move right after the cat jumps, makes it seem a little more than a coincidence. Maybe the cat was poked and then the glass was pulled. Still, that one is a little harder to explain. It's also worth noting that Adam never mentions the glass moving. In fact, it was followers that pointed it out. Perhaps he was allowing them to play the roles they do so well in finding extra things that aren't intended to be there. Another video on the 11th shows a macrame cactus being thrown from the shelf. He also happens to mention in that thread that his house is near a subway, which makes the house shake, which could very easily explain it falling, the chair rocking, and the turtle shell falling. All of the Poltergeist videos, actually. On September 16th, he goes past that warehouse again and captures a picture from inside a separate room of which he believes holds a face similar to David's. After that, he leaves for Japan, and the story goes quiet for a while, other than the picture of a statue he finds that reminds him of David. He returns home on October 5th, but the story doesn't pick back up. Possibly because David has left him alone, just as he predicted, or maybe he got tired of the charade. But October 14th proves he hasn't stopped the story, and he makes another post. He mentions electrical issues, bulbs burning out over short periods of time, and a backlight flickering despite its power source being shut down. Then he hears scratching on his door and snaps a photo through the peephole, something that never worked the first time he did it. He captures a photo that he believes to be a face. Another week-long silence before a thread on October 26th. This is where things really start to get out of hand. Sorry for the radio silence the past couple weeks. Thread. First, I had a friend come over to do some cleansing stuff. She did the whole apartment and the hallway. A lot of self-proclaimed professional mediums have reached out, plus about a dozen ghost hunter TV shows. I've declined them all because I don't really want strangers in my house sensationalizing what's going on.
What? What the fuck?
You've been doing nothing but sensationalizing this ghostly activity, but you don't want ghost hunters doing it? No, that's bull. You don't want them coming in because you don't want them telling the world that it's a bunch of crap and
You're a phony! Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean that little outburst. Let's just get back to the thread. So instead, I had a friend come over and cleanse the place, and for about a week or so, it seemed like it worked. Things appeared to go back to normal. The cats weren't gathering at the door anymore. I stopped having dreams. It was starting to seem like it was over. Then one morning last week, I was walking to work and passed the shuttered warehouse as usual. This time all the metal doors were wide open, sunlight pouring in. The warehouse was still mostly empty, except for one thing. There was a hearse parked near the back wall. The warehouse has been closed for over 2 months. I have no idea why it's open that day. Nobody was around. It was weird, but I tried not to think about it. It's not all that strange to see a hearse, I guess. Like, they have to park somewhere. I tried to put it out of my mind, and the next several days were uneventful. But something else happened last night. It was around 11 or so, and I was watching TV on the couch. I went into the dining room to get a drink from the fridge, and noticed both the cats sitting by the far window staring up at it. The window looks out onto a roof of the business next door. I glanced out the window but didn't see anything. I figured that maybe there was a mouse in the wall or something. I shrugged and grabbed a beer from the fridge. As I went into the kitchen to get the bottle opener, I noticed something. Wait. Is his fridge not in his kitchen? Why did he get a beer out of the fridge and then go to the kitchen and get a bottle opener? Does he have like a mini fridge in his living room that's right by his kitchen? Like, we even see in pictures that his kitchen is connected to his living room. Why is he... What? There's a window in the kitchen which looks out onto the same roof, and someone was standing on the roof, staring at me. I immediately ducked down. I reached up and flicked off the light switch. I peered over the window, but couldn't see much. My phone was in my pocket, so I grabbed it and took a photo. It was blurry and dark, but I swear I saw someone out there. I tried to take a better photo, but the figure had disappeared. I closed all the blinds and made sure the door was locked, and then drank like 5 more beers until I was too drunk to be scared. But now I feel like I'm back to square one. I'm sure it was him. He's not going away. I don't know what to do. On November 6th, which is the last post at the time of me writing this script, 2 days later, Adam posts another thread and oh boy, is it a doozy. It's been about 4 months since the first time I dreamed of David. Thread. This might be long, but stick with me. Last night I dreamed about him again. It was almost exactly the same as the first time I saw him. In the dream, I saw him in a chair again. I don't have the green chair in my room anymore. This time it was a recliner I've had for years. He was staring right at me, just like the first time. Again, I felt paralyzed and could barely move, but this time something was different. I still felt mostly immobile, but I could squirm just a little bit. I felt more alert. I could move my hands somewhat. David glared at me, and I dreaded what I knew was coming. He was going to get out of the chair and come towards me, just like before. I had to do something. I keep my phone next to me on the bed, and I somehow managed to get a hold of it. I thought, if David is going to kill me, maybe I can at least get evidence on my phone. Yeah, so the cops can go hunt down a ghost boy. I started snapping pictures in the dark. Sure enough, he crawled down off the chair and began shuffling towards me. He moved slowly, like it was a struggle for him. It's a struggle when your legs are made of stuffing. I felt terrified, but I kept taking photos. David limped closer towards me, never taking his eyes off me. Soon I was face to face with him. He started muttering something too quiet for me to understand. I watched as his eyes rolled back in his head until they were all white. I tried to wither away from him, but I could barely move. I stared in horror as he began to crawl up onto my bed, still murmuring something. And that's when I woke up. Same as before, broad daylight. No trace of David anywhere. It's almost routine now, but it was a dream after all, so I got up and went to work, and after a while the stress of the dream melted away. I wasn't even going to write this down, bullshit, since it wouldn't really be new information. But tonight I noticed something that had petrified me. I went into my phone to find a picture from a couple days ago, and saw dozens of pitch black photos in my camera roll, all from last night. It's better to just show you. Turn up your brightness because they're pretty dark. This is the one that made my heart drop. Usually I can come up with some excuse for what's happening, but I have no logical explanation for this. Come on, Adam. Come on, my boy. That's a doll. That's a doll, Adam. That's a doll! Will you be retailing those dolls soon? I'd like to get one for my niece. Please post a link for purchase. Oh my god, Adam, I swear, my dude. If David's neck was really that small, there's no way he'd be able to hold up that head without it snapping. Just, Adam, why? You had a nice thing with this story. There were some questionable things here and there, but it was at least believable. Why'd you ruin it, Adam? It's quite obvious I'm not the only one who feels this way. Many of his followers have been commenting saying much the same, that these photos lost them, and who can blame them? In the end, Adam Ellis's story of Dear David was absolutely entertaining, but 99 out of 100, not true. All of the evidence provided is just very easy to fake this day and age, and while there is no photoshopping evidence, a lot of it can be done very easily and practically. And while his followers were very enthusiastic, supporting and even adding to his threads, the figures they found in the background of all of his photos are simply pareidolia, or seeing faces where there truly are none. So the question is, why? Why would he share this most likely false story on Twitter? Well, the answer is pretty clear. Sensationalism. The exact thing he said he didn't want the story to become. Adam Ellis has nearly 10 times as many Twitter followers right now in November than he did in July, a single month prior to when the Dear David threads began. He's drawn not only attention to his social media, but to his art. He's written blogs on BuzzFeed about it. 500,000 people flocked to his Twitter in hopes to catch the next installment of his ghost story. Adam Ellis has slowly been devoured by David. The story he created, whether fact or fiction, has taken over his Twitter, his name. People will not remember Adam Ellis as the dude who makes those quirky, relatable BuzzFeed comics. They'll remember him as the man who was haunted by the spirit of a dead child and shared it on social media. Just by looking at his Twitter feed, one can see how it has only become posts about David. Very seldom is there anything that even resembles what Adam once shared with his followers. Not even his comics make frequent appearances. In the end, just as the little girl in his dream promised, David has killed him. In a way, there will be no resurrection of his notoriety. Adam Ellis will now and forever be in Dear David's shadow. And all because he couldn't stop from asking that third question. Oh, who am I kidding? I'm not missing the next crazy thread. In all honesty, this Dear David thing has been super entertaining, but that last one, just wow. I think Adam Ellis probably did have that creepy dream, and then he just said, that'd make a good horror story. Oh shit, I write comedy. I can't do scary. I'll just start a Twitter thread and pretend it's real. Adam probably never thought it'd take off quite like it has, and he's most likely just rolled with it because he doesn't want to lose the attention he's been getting. I think him mentioning it might end at Japan was a hint he wants to stop, but when he came back, he changed his mind. He panicked. Honestly, I don't want to outright say it's fake. There's always that possibility that it could be real. I just don't see it. I've been wanting to cover this topic since I read the first thread, and even mentioned it'd be my next video in the Jimmy C video. What really kicked me in high gear was seeing that doll, though. All the backlash he got from that made me fear he might come clean about the truth soon, and I wanted to cover this story before he did. Honestly, I just hope I can get this all edited together before that happens. I kind of feel bad for Adam, and wish him the best with the David story. It's really entertained me the last few months, and all in all, it's really good. It's just probably not real, guys. Seriously. But anyway, guys, I'm Midnight Siren, and I'll see you guys next time.